Now I'm back with part two of the police report. As you can see, I have it right here. Yes. Anyway, the HR lady said that I called down for him to come up to the second floor, which I did not. I was on my way to the washroom, and I seen him down there messing with the young lady. And I went on to the washroom, and it's a pretty good distance away. And by the time I came out the washroom, he was in the break room. But on here, she says that I called him up to the second floor. But I did not. He followed me from the break room, the washroom, up to the second floor. And then the police report said he followed me until I got to the office saying, "Do you want to see it?" Now make this make sense. That's what the Bolingbrook police said I told him, which I didn't, because it was like a half an hour span between the time he did that, if not 20 minutes, because it was break time. And I went and told my supervisor first, because they say it's a three-step command. If you don't feel like you have gotten any results from the first person, go to the second and the third, which I went to my supervisor first. And he just laughed and said, "You probably wanted to see it." Then I went to the security gate and said, "Does the cameras upstairs work?" And they said no. But as I said, it didn't start upstairs. It started downstairs in the break room when I came from the bathroom. And the police said he followed me until I got up to the office. No, to the HR office. No, it did not. He had gone and left because I ran screaming, and he kept on running and went downstairs and went on break. And then I went to the HR and told her what he had did and how they could catch him. I said, because he doesn't know that camera doesn't work up there. But she lied and said that I told her all the stuff on this report, which I didn't. And then the Bolingbrook police, as I said, also lied, because I didn't tell him he followed me to the HR office, because he was long gone. So all this was a lie. And I never knew this until they started acting funny towards me after they fired him. Every little thing they kept trying to get at me about. And I was one of their co-trainers, core trainers. I trained their people. And they started picking and bothering me. And even some Spanish lady that I hung around with, she started acting funny. And I didn't know what was going on. But, yeah. And then they came up with this problem saying I was glad a supervisor was dead. And here I've been there 13 years and a half, never been written up, and they came up with some kind of scheme saying that I said I was glad a supervisor died. Now I have the paperwork, which that event happened on the 25th of May. They had paperwork on the 24th of May, and it hadn't even happened yet. So I wonder how did that happen? But like I say, they had a ethics hotline that you could call. And I guess if you felt like you were being mistreated or done wrong to. So I guess they had them to type up what they wanted it to say, which didn't happen until the 25th when I was clocking out. This group leader came running up on me, screaming and hollering, and I went on upstairs because she was talking to the supervisor. And then later on, he asked me, "Did you hear her?" I said, "No, not really." He said, "She was talking about you." And so then when I clocked out, I seen her and I asked her, "What's the problem? What happened?" And she said, "Get away from me if you know what's good for you." And so then I went outside and I called the supervisor. And he said, "I can't talk about it, but you're being investigated." I said, "Investigated for what?" But long story short, they fired me. It wasn't because I said I was glad the supervisor died. It was because I disrupted a warehouse. Now, if somebody comes threatening you and lying on you, wouldn't you get upset and ask what's going on? But see, I think it was because they had to get rid of me before I found out what all they had lied about. And that's when I found out about this police report that I never knew they had lied on. And yes, they fired me. And I went up to Illinois Department of Human Rights because I had found a lawyer, a justice for workers. And after they got through with my lawyer, I never seen him again. But I'll let you know more about that.